lost in my doubts, tangled in stories I can't live without. But there's a fire, it's burning inside, calling me forward, I can't run and hide. It's not about perfection, it's about the climb, breaking through the limits, one step at a time. With every breath, I'm closer to the dream, a life that's bold, a heart that gleams. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. The mirror's reflection, it shows who I am, but it's just the beginning, not the end of the plan. Through trials and heartache, I've learned how to fight, to shape my tomorrow. I start with tonight. It's not about the shadows, it's about the flame, fueling the courage to rewrite the game. Every step forward, I leave fear behind. Greatness is waiting, it's yours and it's mine. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. Through the storms and the pain, I'm finding my way again. With purpose, with heart, I'll never fall apart. It's the journey, not just the end, a story that begins again. I'll build it, I'll create a life that resonates. Be great, be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. This is your story, it's time to ignite a life of intention, a future so bright. The world is waiting, don't let it wait. Step into your greatness, it's time, be great.
hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome into the Be Great live stream. This is what we do every Thursday. My name is Andrew Burkham, and I am, in addition to being a streamer that you may know as Orpheus Quine, I am also the founder and CEO of the Idea Training Academy. That is a company that is designed to help people who are stuck or who just can't quite figure out how to get to their next level to get them unstuck. And that's what we do here every Thursday. Every Thursday, I bring you about an hour of stuff that I've seen that people are they're going through, stuff that they're working on, things that I've learned that maybe will help you a little bit as you pursue your growth journey. And I see that my microphone. Let me undo that. So yeah, so that's what we're here to do today. And today we've got the call-in feature that's been enabled. So I've never used this before here on Twitch. It's a new thing for me. If you have a question, there's two ways that you can ask the question today. There's a link that's going to pop up in chat. It's going to pop up probably about every 5 minutes. And you can use that link. That'll send you over to my Slido, which is a website that will allow you to anonymously ask a question if you have one. And if you would prefer, if you've got a question that you'd like to ask live, I have got today the call-in feature enabled. That means buzz in, and we can have a direct conversation. So today, that feature is pretty cool. It is pretty cool, Kat. Have you used it before? I've never used it before. So I'm kind of interested to see how it works, if it works. I don't know. It seems like the kind of thing that might be appropriate for a show like this, but maybe not. I don't know. So we're going to give it a shot today. But I thought, hey, why not use all of the tools we have? I never have, didn't even know that was an option. Yeah, it's a part of the Stream Together suite of things that we use. So when we do like shared chats, like on Monday night, we do shared chats and things like that. It's in that whole set of things, and I just discovered it. So I thought, why not give it a shot? Let's see if it works. So, and again, if this is your first stream, if you're just watching me, or if you're watching the replay of this and you're used to seeing my gaming content, which is most of what you're going to find on this channel, just to frame this up for you a little. Why I do this on Thursdays is because this is really the purpose of what I do. So I like to play games, I like to have fun, but I've always said that ever since I became a streamer, there are some very specific reasons why I do things the way that I do. And I was just talking today, I had a brief conversation. We had another streamer that we had rated out recently. Really nice dude. And he had sent me a message via a whisper via Twitch. And he just said, hey, I wanted to let you know, thank you so much for the raid. Really appreciate the support, especially because, I'm smaller. And so I sent him back a message and I said, listen, man, I want you to know that, first of all, it was great to meet you, of course, and I think you're doing great stuff. But more importantly, when I set out to jump into this world of streaming, I decided that what was going to make me different was two things. That I was going to try and create a community that was all about showing up for each other, right? So laugh together, we cry together, we lift each other up. That was going to be the number one thing for the community. And number two is we were going to support other streamers. So if you ask me, if you say, why do you do this every Thursday? My answer is going to be, this isn't different from what I do the rest of the time. It's just that the rest of the time is what I do because that's where I can meet people that might need help. So the reason that I do any of this is all about community building. And more importantly, it's about finding out how I can help people. Maybe it's with advice, my coaching. Maybe it's just through support. But whatever it is, that's my goal. So I guess how this transfers to you is one thing that I'm always challenging you is you got to find why you do what you do. And the people who get further ahead in life are the people who know why. They're not necessarily the people who know how. And we make this mistake. You ever known how to do something, but you still didn't do it very well? There are a few things that I know how to do. I know how to cook, very generally speaking. Now, my wife is a professional, and so I don't do much cooking, but I know very basically, I know that the elements of cooking, but I don't really do it very well because I don't connect to it at a level of importance the same way that my wife does. See, for her, cooking is an expression of her creativity. And it's also an expression of the way that she relates to other people. But for me, it's just a way to feed myself. So I will never be as good a cook as my wife is, no matter how much I study, no matter how many textbooks I read, no matter how many YouTube videos I go and watch, or how much food TV or Master Chef or whatever any of those shows are that I watch. I'm never going to be the cook that my wife is. And I'm grateful, by the way, that she's so good at it because then I don't have to. I can focus on the things that are my why. Like you in baking. Yes, exactly, right? You may, you know, you may find something that you love. And it's easier to be good at the things that we love. Now, I'm not saying just go out and follow your passion. Her food looks so yummy, and it is. It is delightful. If you've ever seen my wife's food, it is absolutely amazing. There's a reason that she's a professional. I'm not telling you to just go out and chase your passions, though, wherever you find them. What I am telling you is that you will never be great at something if you don't know why you're doing it. I talk a lot to companies. And one of the things that I work on companies with is what we call employee engagement, or making sure that employees are connected, that they're happy, that they're productive, right? Because happy employees are productive employees, by the way. That's kind of an important thing that we found out in workplace psychology. And I believe that there are 4 questions that every employee has to be able to answer if they're going to be really engaged, if they're really going to be happy, if they're going to be satisfied, if they're going to be doing their best work. All employees can answer these 4 questions. And those questions are, and if you've been around, you've heard me say them before. Number 1, these, by the way, these will work in your life as well. So when you pursue anything, I would ask yourself these 4 questions. Number 1, what do I do? What is it that I really do? Right? So if you've got employees and they don't know what their job is, if they can't articulate specifically what their job is, you need to do some work. And if you are in your life and you don't know what your job is, or you don't know what you do, then you need to do some work. That's the point where you need to say, wait, maybe I've gotten caught up in all of the roles or all of the labels that I've called myself. I need to figure out what it is that I do. Do you help support people? Do you get people rallied together and get them moving forward? Do you tell stories? What is it that you do? You got to find out what you do. But the second question is the question that we're really focusing on here, and that's this. What I do, if I know what I do, why is it important? And when we're talking organizationally, we're talking about why is it important to the organization? And the big thing here is we talk a lot about clarity in the organizational world. But let me dumb that down for myself, because sometimes I use words like clarity and I use words like big organizational words, and sometimes I use them so much that I lose the meaning of them. So let me dumb that down for myself, not for you. When I'm talking about clarity, what I mean is, does everybody at the bottom of the organization, meaning the people who are closest to whoever's getting whatever the service is, do those people understand the purpose and the mission of the organization as well and in the same way as the people at the top of the organization? Now, I'm not saying that, every janitor of every organization is going to know the mission statement as well as the CEO. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if the organization's identity does not convey to even the person who does whatever you would consider to be the most menial task. If the identity of the organization doesn't convey to that person the sense of importance that their job brings, then there's no clarity in the organization. Then there's no overall purpose. And that's going to be the same for you in your life. If when you're doing the everyday things, if when you're taking out the trash or what's something like vacuuming the floor, right? Or emptying the dishes or whatever it is, whatever menial thing you think you're doing, if it's not connected to purpose somehow, it's not going to be satisfying, first of all, which is fine. Not everything is satisfying, but more importantly, it's going to drain your sense of moving in the direction that you need to move. And that's the one thing that gets people stuck more than anything else, I think, is not understanding that everything you do every day is in some way moving. It's driving you towards that person that you're becoming. So, if I've talked about this before, but if I'm doing the laundry, I don't like doing laundry. In fact, I kind of hate doing laundry. I especially hate putting clothing away because there's nothing to me that's worse than putting clothes away. You go into the closet and you've got this laundry basket full of laundry, and you take the clothes out of it and you hang them up on hangers. And then what happens? The next thing you do is you take some of that clothing off and you wear it, and it's a never-ending process, and I hate it. I need there to be some kind of laundry robot. I need the Tesla robot to come to my house to do my laundry, just so that I don't have that endless futility of hanging clothes up and then taking them immediately off the rack and wearing them again. I guess maybe I just need to make a lot more money so that I only have to wear things once, and then I can donate them, and that would be fine. But I'm not there right now, and until I am, I got to do laundry I do it at least once a week, right? Because I'm working out of the house a lot of the times. But there's a reason that's connected to my purpose why I'm doing that laundry when I'm doing it. I had to think this through. I had to think it through because at first it was just like, it's a chore. And to be honest with you, for a long time I didn't do it because it was a chore. But one day my wife came home from work, and she works in a kitchen. She works really, really hard. And one day she came home from work, and I watched her. And I could tell that she was tired. I could tell she was having a hard day. My wife ends up managing people because she runs the kitchen. She ends up managing people, but she does not love that. She does not want to be a leader in that way. She does not want to be a manager in that way. She does not aspire to moving people around. That's not what she loves. And so she came home, and I could tell that she was burned out, that she had expended everything that she possibly could. And I watched this woman who is amazing and who would sacrifice everything for anybody she knew. And I watched her come into the house and kind of get changed out of her work clothes, and then immediately go and start putting the laundry in the washing machine. And it was at that moment when I connected the laundry to my purpose. You see, my purpose in life is to help other people. And I know that sounds like a really silly kind of basic thing, but it is. At its most basic, it's to help other people. Now, the way I articulate that is, a lot of times I say, my job, my purpose in life is to help introduce people to the best version of themselves. And as I watched my wife put the laundry, put the laundry in the washer and, get everything started, and I watched just the exhaustion in her body, I realized that in that moment, I had the ability to help her get closer to the best version of herself. Because what she needed in that moment was she needed a moment to recuperate. She needed a moment to breathe. She needed a second to reset so that she could do the next thing that she needed to do that would bring her closer to that best version of herself. And it was in that moment that I realized all you got to do is a load of laundry. That's it. It can be a very simple discipline. A load of laundry, one load of laundry. So every Monday, what I do is, I have a call every Monday at 10 a.m. It's my arena call. So every Monday, right before my arena call, I take all of the clothing that's in the closet, and I throw it in. Excuse me. I throw it into the washer, and after the call's done, I throw it into the dryer. And I know it sounds like a simple, stupid thing, but what I'm trying to get you to see is that something that's just a basic chore can be connected to something that's much, much more important. And every time that I do that load of laundry now, I'm thinking about how it's going to free my wife up to become the best version of herself. Do not touch my girlfriend's laundry. Way too many requirements. I'd rather clean the house. There you go, Chutch. I love that, dude. Absolutely. That's so good. So, and by the way, people are picky about their laundry. Let's get this out of the way. I'm not saying go do somebody's laundry because people get crazy about their laundry. My oldest kid will not let us touch his. It's a whole thing, right? But yeah, what is it? Clean the house? That's great. Vacuum the house? I love that. But connect it to why you're doing that, right? Connect it to why it's important. Connect it to the feeling of knowing that you're providing something for somebody that you don't have to. You're not required to. There's no paycheck on the line. There's no, you can't become unemployed by not doing laundry or cleaning the house. But connect it to your purpose, and here's why. I talked about that laundry as being a discipline. Doing that laundry as being a discipline. And it is. It's a discipline. Remember, my definition of discipline is a little bit different than other people's. My definition of disciplines is the daily things that you do every day intentionally, not automatically. Different thing. Habit is automatic. Discipline is intentional. The daily things that you do intentionally to move yourself towards the place that you want to go, your best self, your best future. Head of Steel is here. We can start now. Welcome in, Head of Steel. It's good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us today. We're just talking a little bit about purpose and about the way that we manage our purpose in the mundane time, right? And I was telling my simple story of I do laundry once a week for my wife, and I should do it probably way more than that, but I don't. And the fact that the reason that I started doing that was not because she asked me. She would never ask me to do that. But because I saw that it was an opportunity for me to help her get closer to the best version of herself by freeing up energy that she was otherwise just using, just burning, just throwing away. And I had a moment of transition in my day that I could use for it. I know all about mundane. It's one of my middle names. There is something divine in the mundane. There's that old story about the guys who are building they're building the cathedral, and they ask the first guy, what are you doing? He's like, I'm laying bricks. Then they ask the second guy, what are you doing? And he says, I'm building a. And they ask the third guy what he's doing, and he says, I am building the house of God, a house for God. And it's that idea that even the mundane things that we do can connect. They can connect to the divine. They connect to the elevated, to the great things. But it's up to us to make the connections. Do you get that? Don't let that go by. It's up to us to make the connections between the mundane and the divine. Nobody's going to do that for us. And sometimes it's going to seem a little bit corny. Sometimes it's going to feel a little bit silly. But I'll tell you what, if you do it, you will never do anything in an unmotivated way again. If you can find an intention for everything that you do that connects to your purpose, then you'll never be unmotivated again. Now, that's not to say you won't feel like doing it. I don't want you to mistake motivation. When I'm talking about motivation, I'm going back to my acting training. Been thinking a lot about my acting training lately because one of my coaches has been talking about how to tell stories and how to kind of relive the story more than retell the story. And a lot of that takes me back to my acting training, which a lot of you may not know, but I was an actor once. That was a long time ago. I was an actor and I also taught acting for many years. And when we talk about motivation in acting, it's the famous old line, right? What's my motivation? My motivation is. That's what every pretentious actor says in every terrible movie. But when we talk about motivation, we're talking about what's really driving character. When we're talking about motivation in acting, we're really talking about purpose. That's the sense that I'm trying to get to you. So even all the way, but we go back to when we were talking about the organization. We want that clarity of purpose from the top to the bottom. We want that CEO and that janitor to both have a sense of how what they do matters to the organization. When we talk about it in your life, we're talking about the difference between the most important thing that you do and the least important thing that you do, and how those are both driven by motivation, by purpose, by intention. Here's a question along these lines. If the bricklayer is unaware that he's building a temple of God, is he divine? That's an excellent question. Head of Steel, I love that. The answer is this. We are all, every day, filled with potential energy. You know the difference between potential energy and kinetic energy. Head of Steel, you deal with like plans and things like that, so you probably know more about this than I do. But the difference between potential energy and kinetic energy, right? Potential energy is stored, waiting to be unleashed. Kinetic energy is energy that's in motion. And please don't at me if you're a physicist. Get it? Badly. But when you're asking, does the bricklayer who doesn't know he's building a house of God, is he still doing the divine work? My answer is he is filled with the potential energy of the divine. All of us are filled with potential energy for the divine. But if that potential energy only stays potential and it never becomes kinetic, it never goes from a place where it's kind of there to a place where it begins to express itself, then the energy becomes wasted. Over time, it diminishes and it fades. So the question is, he's not aware that he's building a temple to God. Is his work divine? His work is inherently divine. Because all work is inherently divine. Because all of us are designed to do work for purpose, and all of us are doing work for purpose whether we know it or not. But how much more effective would his work be? How much more meaningful would his work be if he understood the way that the work that he does connects to the things that are truly important? Kind of like a power plant turned off. Completely pointless if it doesn't. Oh, like a power plant that's turned off. It's completely pointless if it's not doing it. Dude, Chutch, that's exactly it, right? You know, you can have a battery. I've got batteries laying around all over the place. You can have a battery. But if that battery, what is that battery? It's stored energy. It's stored potential. But if I don't put that battery into my remote or my flashlight or whatever else it is, then the battery itself, is it a value? Yeah, it's a value. But is it being used in the way it was designed to be used? No. And so it's the same for you. If you've got something inside of you, and you've got something inside of you, and maybe you haven't discovered it yet. Maybe you've been trying a lot of different things and nothing's quite fit. Maybe you haven't hit on it yet, and that's okay. If you come out of something today, just know that that's okay. I was in my 40s when I realized that I had more to do than what I was doing. And I think a lot of people were. I feel like a lot of people. I think I saw this meme the other day that the Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken was in his like 70s maybe when he started KFC. I don't know. Somebody can Google that. But there are all kinds of people who were way past their quote unquote prime when they realized what it was that they were supposed to be doing with their lives. So I want you to know, if you're not there yet, if you haven't figured it out, don't worry. It's okay. Keep driving towards it, though. Keep seeking it. Don't just give up. Don't just settle for something and go, well, This is what I've got. This is what I'm going to do. Find the thing that you can get better at. I was talking to my daughter about this today. We went to her middle school orientation today, and this is crazy for me. This is my baby, right? But she's going to middle school. Walked onto this junior high campus, and here we are, and all the kids look so much taller than she is, and going to the library and the gym and meeting teachers, and it was it was for me it was crazy because I look at this kid, and there are some days that all I can see is just that baby, just that little baby, and that little girl who was just a ball of sunshine all the time. But then other days I look at her and think, wow, are somewhere between being an infant and now you became a fully fledged human being. And I don't know where it happened, and I'm not sure that I approve of it. But what a cool person you are. And that was super in effect today when we went out to her junior high campus. But as we were on our way home, we were talking about college because, of course, she's 11 now, going to be 12 this year. And so, she needs to be thinking about where she is going to college. Not really. But we were talking about college because she was like, "Yeah, I only, I've got 3 years of middle school, and then I got 4 years of high school, and then I got to figure out what to do for college." And I'm like, "That is 7 years away. You're gonna be fine. You take your time to figure that out." But we were talking about when I went to college, and my wife and I were both very fortunate. We both went to school on scholarships. And my wife went to school on an academic scholarship and maybe athletic as well. She may have gotten some athletic money, but primarily academic. And I went to school on as if this may knock your socks off. I'm 57, uncertain what I want to do for college. I feel you there. Keep in mind, I've went to college for the sum total of I think 8 years, and I do not have a degree. So take all of this for what it's worth. But I went to college on a preaching scholarship, which is a weird thing to say nowadays, knowing where I am and who I am. But that's it. And I was explaining to her that that paid my way through college. But I was also, when I got to college, the school where I went, they had this group that was an acting troupe that worked for the college, but it was a recruiting group. And so what we would do is every week, every Sunday, every weekend, we'd go out and we'd perform, we'd do a performance, and then we would invite people to come check out the school and to learn about it, and we'd work a lot with kids and try and get them to come see the school. Head of Seal, you're in your prime. That is true. 57 is delightful. I know because I'm almost there. And the cool thing about it was that I was in this. Oh, and then over the summer we would tour around the country, and so that was one of the ways I got to travel the United States. Was every summer for 10 weeks I would go on tour for 4 years with this group, and we would do all these summer camps, and we would go and we'd perform for the summer camps, and we would teach the kids acting, and it was super fun. I loved it, and that's how I got to see Alaska and Hawaii and just most of the United States. It was absolutely amazing. The cool thing about it was that not only did that also pay for my school, but they paid me a salary on top of it. And so I was working, doing what I loved, and getting my school paid for at the same time. And what I told my daughter was, I said, you know what? I was really lucky. Really lucky because when I got to that school, there wasn't supposed to be an opening in that group. It was only six people, 3 guys and 3 girls. It was a team of 6, and there was not supposed to be an opening. But there was an opening that had just come up. One of the guys had gotten married and was moving on, I think is what had happened. And so an opening came up, but they had the director of the group had already had somebody kind of in mind for it. But I heard about it, and I was a theater guy. I was an actor, and I'd done acting in high school. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go to these auditions because they were holding auditions. So I said, I'm going to go to these auditions. And I had a monologue, and I did the whole thing, and I went out and I sang a little bit, I think, and I got it. over this dude who was already, I found out later, was already practically pre-selected. And what I was telling my daughter today was, on the face of that, it looks like I got really lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. That slot happened to be open when I got there. Somebody happened to have dropped out that wasn't going to. I got in front of this other guy. But if you peel that back, yeah, there was luck involved. There's always going to be luck involved with success. But the success that I enjoyed, the reason that I got rewarded there, was not just because of the luck. It was because of the work. It was because for 4 years before that, I had busted my butt. I was not a natural actor when I walked into day one of my first high school acting class. In fact, I was kind of at the bottom of my class. And I worked really hard to learn the craft of acting and to really learn to inhabit a character and to learn to speak the right way on stage and to learn to emote the correct way and to hold an audience there. If I hadn't put that work in, there's no way that I got to that level of success that I did. So this is all taking me back to kind of what I was doing topically today, right? I said, let's talk about your past. We talk about your past, but I don't want to talk about your past. Like, I don't want you to sit on the couch and put your feet up and be in my office and I'll hold a clipboard and you tell me about your mother. It's not, we're not going to do that today. What I want to do today is I want to talk about, there's two ways you can look at your past that I'm going to say are the wrong way. And there's one way that's the right way. But let's get the wrong way out of the way first. And the first one is that you can look at your past and you can get stuck in it. I think this is probably, if there's a place where most people probably sit that I work with as a coach, I think this is probably the place. They are stuck in their past. They are trapped in their past. And how do you get trapped in your past? Well, sometimes it's, you get stuck in trauma loops or things like that. And I'm not going to pretend to be a psychologist or a therapist or any of those things. I often say, I'm not a licensed anything. But I think that sometimes we get stuck in the past in ways that are not clinical. I think that sometimes we get stuck in the past of, oh gosh, I can't believe I did that. That was so cringeworthy. Should have said this, should have done that. Do you have things like that? Do you kind of play on repeat in your head? I have all kinds of these. Just moments where I was like, I jumped out there and I said the thing and it was not the right thing to say. And I just felt and I will replay that. There's still when I was in the 5th grade. This is one I talk about in my book, Be Great, coming out later this year. And I was in the 5th grade, and my teacher one day came into the class, and she had that head of steel. You'll remember this, but probably nobody else will. You wheeled that cart in, and it wasn't the cart you're thinking of. It's not the cart with the TV on top of it. Remember the TV that was strapped on top? It wasn't that cart. This is way before that. It was the cart that had the record player on top of it. Had that old dusty record player with the case that came off that had the handle on it. And she took out a record sleeve, a vinyl record sleeve. And she pulled this dusty old vinyl record out of it and put it on the thing. And she said, today we're gonna listen to War of the Worlds. OMG, I'm not that old, but my school had one. That's so good. I love that those are still around. I hope they're still around someplace. She brought this thing out and she said, hey, we're gonna listen to War of the Worlds today. And I didn't know anything about, I know the one. They busted it out when we played Duck, Duck, Goose and musical chairs. Yes, you're exactly right. You've got it. You know the one. When we would do musical chairs, Duck, Duck, Goose, that's exactly the one. I love it. So she put War of the Worlds, the record, on this thing, and she said, we're going to listen to War of the Worlds. And I didn't know that War of the Worlds, I didn't know anything about it. I was in 5th grade. I didn't know anything about the H.G. Wells book. I mean, I kind of knew that it was a book. And I didn't know anything about the Orson Welles radio play that this was a recording of. But I did know about the movie. Do you remember the movie, The War of the Worlds? Super cheesy, like terrible special effects. Had almost nothing to do with the actual plot of the book. And this was back in the 70s, not the Tom Cruise version, but back the 70s version. And I remember just going, "Oh man, that's great! I love that movie." And my teacher, she looked over at me. She had, "Oh no, it's not a movie. It's a radio play." And I was one of those kids. Maybe you were one of these kids too, but I was one of those kids who it was really important for me to do things right. I don't put a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of real science behind the firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn thing, but I'm a firstborn. I'm a firstborn of two firstborn, and I grew up in a household where people talked to me like I was a grown up from the time that I was a child. And the reason they did that is because they better, and also because I was relatively smart. I mean, I was kind of a smart kid, and I was pretty pretty verbal also my whole life. And so it was just really important for me to do things right and to say things right and to one who was smart and who was good and all of those things. And this teacher, she corrected me in front of the class, and I remember I was so embarrassed by this. It was a simple thing. She wasn't being mean. She wasn't being rude or cruel. She was just correcting me. But I tell you what, I still can see that. And I just, in my mind, and it probably wasn't this way, but in my mind, everybody's eyes were on me in that moment because I had said the wrong thing. I got too excited, I got too enthusiastic, and I said the wrong thing. And that replayed in my head for years and years and years and years, over and over and over and over again. And what it did was it kept me from sticking my neck out. That and a lot of things like that made it so that I wasn't really willing to take a lot of risks growing up. And that made me into kind of a fearful person to the point where when as an adult at some point I had to decide to actually really face my fears because unless I forced myself to face those fears, I was always going to default to the safe. And I looked around me and I saw that the people who are doing great things in the world were not always defaulting to the safe. Sometimes you have to do the dangerous. And so that's the way that sometimes your past can be a prison, right? It could get you caught. You catch up with chat here a little bit. My math teacher had an obsession with Tom Lehrer. I played a few of his records. That's cool. I grew up relatively smart, as in I knew who my uncle was. Well, that is important. That is important to know. So if you let it, your past will imprison you. It will get you caught like that. And it may not be something that simple for you. It may be something that's deeper for you, but I wonder what it is that you are replaying right now that's changed your behavior from who you really are supposed to be. And I think you need to get reflective about that and to really make a decision as to whether or not your defaults are the right defaults or whether they're based in you avoiding situations that are no longer. So don't let your past be a prison. And also, but then there's this other side of it where sometimes we have these achievements in our past and we're just really proud of them and they're like trophies that we keep on a shelf. I have a trophy. You can't see it. It's right up here. I have a trophy. If I could reach it, the desk is in the way. If I could reach it, I'd bring it down. But the trophy is from I told you I went to college on a preaching scholarship. The trophy that I have up here is from a preaching competition that I won. A national preaching competition. Yes, that actually was a thing. And I went and I preached a sermon. My dad was a preacher, and so I wrote and preached this sermon. And out of all the kids in the country who entered this competition, I was the one who won. I got first place, and that was why I kind of got my pick of schools to go to when it came to the Christian college scene. And that trophy that I have is kind of dusty. In fact, I'm looking at a cobweb right now that's just kind of sitting on top of it. And I can take it out every once in a while and I can dust it off and I can look at it and I can go, "Hey, look what I did. I was the best kid preacher in the United States for 1992 or whatever year it was, right? 1990. I have a lot of things in my life that are just trophies like that, right? Cuz that trophy it doesn't do anything for me. I couldn't sell it. Like I could not take this trophy to the thrift store and donate it. That's how worthless that thing is. And I have a lot of things in my life that are trophies like that. Do you have a lot of these things? You things that are like we're so proud of them, and they don't mean anything. We when I was in college, we used to talk about I was an artist in college, and I lived with a lot of artist friends, and we super nerdy and super artsy and way too cool for our own good. And we used to talk about these champions. We would call them champions because there were these other guys that they'd come to college and they were big high school sports stars. And that was just like that was all their stories were all about how great they were at sports in high school and we called them champions with a capital C because we would make fun of them because the greatest thing in their life was something that they had already done. And to be honest, we weren't really all that different. The things that we were all proud of were things that we'd done in high school too, right? Like the plays that I was in and the shows that I was in and the work that I'd done. And but you know, but if we just point back to those things, we just go, "Hey, I did that. Look at that. I was number 1. I beat everybody. I did that." If that's all we let it do, then it's just a trophy. We're just taking it off the shelf and dusting it off and showing it off to make ourselves feel good. It's not unless we can point at that thing and go, "That is why I was able to do that." It's not until you could do that that those things become meaningful and valuable. The moment that I got into that group in college, and I recognized the irony, right? Past things, but we're talking about the past. The moment that I got into that group in college that helped pay for my school and then helped pay my salary also so that I was able to live, not just to go to school. It's really easy for me to look back at that and just go, "Man, I was so lucky. I was in the right place at the right time." Or, if you're a faith person, you might say that the universe was, just was aligned. I get a lot of that. Oh, one of my friends said to me the other day, "Oh, my wife said that the Mercury is doing something. Maybe it's the universe. Maybe you think it's God that there was divine intervention. Whatever it was that you think it was, it's really those are all code names for luck. We may as just well say we got lucky, but I didn't get lucky. There was luck involved, but I didn't get lucky. I took advantage of luck. I was in the right place at the right time with the right skills that I'd worked hard to get, with the right amount of initiative to go and do the thing anyway. Even though I was in an unfamiliar place, in a situation where really I didn't have the right or seniority or any of the other stuff. I was a freshman walking in to really probably an upperclassman's job. It was the initiative and it was the skills that I built previously. It was the work that I put in that really allowed me to take advantage of the moment. So don't let your past be a prize. Don't let it be a prison, but don't let it be a prize either. Don't let it just be this relic, this thing that you take off the shelf. You take that apart. When you succeeded, when you won, when you got the thing, when you made the step, when you made the leap, that was you. It was not fate. It was not destiny. It was you. There is something that you did. There is a choice that you made. There is a decision that you made. There was an action that you took that allowed you to seize the moment. Go and find out what that was. Because when you know what that was, you know what you've got. That's what you can work with. What you can take to your next. Same thing with failures. Stuck in your past as a prison, if you're stuck in cycling and circling in your past, take it apart. Where did things fall apart? Where did they come apart? What could I have done differently? Maybe nothing. Sometimes we are the victim. Sometimes we run into other people's ambitions or their actions or their choices, and we're on the outside. But take it apart. See if that was the case. Was there something you could have seen? What were the warning signs? What were the red flags? How would you do it differently? Don't ever let your past just be your past. Gosh, I'm catching up with Pat here. My girlfriend has a whole collection of Mickey ears. Bought these, play them like an accomplishment. We all give value to these. I not understand. Make your own luck. Practice. Okay, Ernest Hemingway. Make your own luck, gig. You know what makes a good loser? Practice. That's true, and I really do. I really do think that we make our own luck, for the most part. Now, I've worked with a lot of people who have had a lot of success in business, and I'll tell you, every one of them believes in luck to some degree. So there's something. As much as I want to go, there's no such thing as luck. We create our own luck. There's something to it, because everybody who is successful says they got lucky at some. I think some of that's false modesty, but some of it I think is genuine. So I think there's luck. I think there's an alignment of circumstance that happens sometime, but I care a lot less about that than whether or not I'm ready in the moment. And how I want you to, how I would say you can be ready is by using your past. So your past could be a prison, right? It can imprison you, it can lock you in, it can get you stuck in cycles. It could be a prize, it could just be your Mickey ears that you look at, but you don't really ever wear them, and it's just you're not really sure why they're valuable to you, but they kind of are. But you've never really thought about it, and so they're not really going to help you in your growth journey. Or it could be I'm using this. I'm using three P's. I really kind of hate doing this, but uh, it could be a prison, it could be a prize, or it could be a propeller. The propeller, what does a propeller do? It moves you in a direction. And that's what I want you to do with your past. I want you to allow it to move you into a direction, to make it drive you forward. And there's this really interesting thing about, did you know that your memory is designed to move you forward? We talk a lot about trauma and past pain and things like that. But the weird thing is, even though those things shape us in negative ways, if you have a negative memory, it's nowhere near as bad as the actual event was, because that's not the way your brain works, right? Your memory is not a perfect recording system. It's more like kind of it's like a reconstructing things is what it's doing. And every time you're recalling something, what your brain is doing is it's taking these past bits and pieces of the original experience and it's putting them together, but it's putting them together really based on your current emotional and psychological state. In other words, your brain is trying to feed you not a recording, because there are some things that are so bad that if we remembered them exactly the way they happened, it'd knock us out. But your brain's not interested in you being knocked out, because your brain wants you to continue to thrive and continue to perpetuate the species. Emily, what's up? Welcome in. Good to see you. Ben, how are you? Hello, I'm sorry you got modded. So your memory is designed to drive you forward. So let it drive you forward, right? Let it drive you forward. But let it drive you forward with intention. Take those things apart. Good to see you. It's good to see you too, Ben. Much goodness. Much goodness. Love to see all of you guys here. So yeah, so that's my message for today. Is don't let your past be a prize, but let it be a propeller. Let me tell one last story. The house that I'm living in right now, the house that I'm broadcasting from right now, here in sunny California, this house I bought in 2012. Wife and I bought it in 2012. Bought it for a little over $100,000. I know that sounds ridiculous, crazy, more rooms than just this one. A fairly modest sized house. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. In California. $100,000 we paid for this. And We bought it in 2012 when the market was kind of bottoming out. And again, that's one of those things. If you look at it, you're like, man, you guys were so lucky. Or maybe you were just, oh, you guys were so smart. We were not so smart. We had no idea what we were doing. If you've ever bought a house, you pretty much know there's not much you can do in advance to be prepared for it. No matter how much stuff you read or try and figure out in advance, you're going to get to the house buying portion and you're going to be lost at some point. We were lucky. We had a good realtor who helped us through the process. But what you don't know is that a few years earlier, in about 2007, was when we had first looked at buying a house. And we had this other realtor, and she had taken us to all these places, and she was showing them to, and all this great stuff you could do it. And they were much smaller. The economy was different. They were much smaller. They were much more expensive, kind of like 3 or 4 times the house. And so we finally found a house, and we're like, okay, make a bid on this house. And she said, okay, I'm gonna send you to my lender. We went to the lender. Lender was shady, guy. This lender was trying to. They were like, well, we're gonna report this for your income. I was like, hold on, that's not right. That's not my income. They're like, yeah, but we're gonna report it this way to get the approval, and then we're gonna move these things around. My wife and I, in that first meeting, walked out of that place because we looked at it and we said, we're not comfortable. This does not match our values. This is not an ethical way to report. Walked out. Later that night, the realtor called us up and she said, hey, we still have a chance. We can still get in there. I'm just going to need you to take all of your retirement accounts and liquidate those. We can use those for the down payment. And I said, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. Retirement accounts are the accounts that we're going to need to live on when I retire. We are not liquidating those to buy this $400,000 shack. And cut the whole deal off. Here's the thing. That was 2007. And in 2008, the real estate market absolutely collapsed. What happened was a lot of those lenders, like the one we went to, their predatory practices came to light. And all of those people they had gotten approved for those loans now couldn't pay for them. People lost their houses. So yeah, we were lucky because we got into the market at the right time, but we were also driven by our values because we wouldn't say yes to a deal that didn't sit right with us. And so when we go back and we look at that, we can go, okay, let's be really specific about what our values are when we go into any major purchase decision in the future. Let's make sure that we are very, very slow about making those decisions and that we're evaluating it based on our values. We know that that's going to lead us to more likely to a better place, to a place where we are more likely to be able to take advantage of the good instead of ride through the. So don't let your past be a prison. Don't get stuck in it. Don't get caught in it. Don't keep spiraling down the toilet. Don't let your past be a prize. Don't let it be something you're just proud of and you put it on the shelf, but it doesn't really affect what's going on today. But make it a propeller. Use the components of your past, the things that worked and the things that didn't work. Let them propel you to the better future that you are designed to have. That's what I got for you guys today. So I hope that was meaningful. I hope that there was something in there for you. I hope that there was some value. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my Substack. AndrewBurkham.substack.com, where every week I bring you a little extended view of something I'm thinking about that could maybe make your life a little better. Thank you for everything. Loco, thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here today. Yeah, subscribe to that. Check me out at ideatrainingacademy.com if you're interested in private client coaching or any of my other coaching programs. I have those. Cheers. Cheers to you as well, Ben. Looking forward to sharing some brews with you here in the near future. I'll be watching out. I'm hoping to catch you live very soon. Until then, my friends, my name is Andrew Burkham. I am the CEO and founder of the Idea Training Academy. You may know me as Orpheus Quine, the friendliest pirate on the Sea of Thieves. But above all else, I am here because I believe in you and I believe in your power to be great. So until the next time I see you, great.
I've been caught in the whispers, lost in my doubts, tangled in stories I can't live without. But there's a fire, it's burning inside, calling me forward, I can't run and hide. It's not about perfection, it's about the climb, breaking through the limits, one step at a time. With every breath, I'm closer to the dream, a life that's bold, a heart that gleams. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. The mirror's reflection, it shows who I am. But it's just the beginning, not the end of the plan. Through trials and heartache, I've learned how to fight, to shape my tomorrow. I start with tonight. It's not about the shadows, it's about the flame, fueling the courage to rewrite the game. Every step forward, I leave fear behind. Greatness is waiting, it's yours and it's mine. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. Through the storms and the pain, I'm finding my way again. With purpose, with heart, I'll never fall apart. It's the journey, not just the end, a story that begins again. I'll build it, I'll create a life that resonates. Be great. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. This is your story, it's time to ignite a life of intention, a future so bright. The world is waiting, don't let it wait. Step into your greatness, it's time.